In the shadowy realms of the Middle Ages, faith was a currency and miracles a tangible expectation. At the heart of this devotion lay relics, fragments of saints, pieces of the true cross, vials of holy blood, believed to possess divine power. These sacred objects promised healing, protection, and salvation, drawing pilgrims from across continents. But beneath the gilded surfaces and fervent prayers, a darker truth often lurked. Many of these revered artifacts were elaborate fakes. This is the story of how some medieval monks, the very guardians of faith, became master artisans of deception, forging the divine for motives both sacred and surprisingly mundane. Imagine a world without science, where every unexplained event was attributed to divine intervention. For medieval society, the spiritual realm was ever-present, tangible, and powerful. Saints were not just figures from history. They were active intercessors, and their physical remains or possessions held immense, palpable power. People believed that touching a relic could cure the sick, protect armies, or guarantee a place in heaven. This profound, unwavering faith created an insatiable demand for these conduits to the divine, elevating relics to an almost supernatural status in daily life. Relics came in various forms, categorized by their perceived proximity to the saint. First-class relics were the most prized, actual body parts, bones, teeth, even entire skulls. Second-class relics included items the saint owned or frequently used, like clothing fragments or personal effects. Third-class relics were objects that had merely touched a first- or second-class relic. Each type, encased in magnificent reliquaries of gold, silver, and jewels, was believed to retain a potent spiritual essence, making them highly sought-after treasures. They were not mere mementos, but active instruments of God's grace. The demand for relics soared across medieval Europe. Pilgrims journeyed hundreds of miles, enduring hardships, driven by the hope of miraculous healing, forgiveness, or simply a closer connection to God. Churches and monasteries vied fiercely to acquire the most prestigious relics, knowing they would attract vast numbers of pilgrims, boosting their fame, influence, and coffers. Cities competed for relics to serve as spiritual guardians and symbols of civic pride. This intense competition, coupled with a finite supply of genuine artifacts, created a fertile ground for a less holy enterprise: forgery. Relics were far more than spiritual objects. They were powerful economic assets. A monastery housing a popular saint's remains could become incredibly wealthy through pilgrim donations, fees for viewing or touching the relic, and gifts from noble patrons seeking divine favor. The presence of a relic could transform a humble chapel into a major pilgrimage site, fueling local economies and cementing the institution's political influence. Owning a prestigious relic was a symbol of divine blessing, granting immense authority and prestige, not just to the church, but to the entire region it resided in. Paradoxically, the very people most trusted with the sacred, the monks, often became the most prolific forgers. Monks possessed the unique combination of literacy, theological knowledge, and access to materials within their monasteries. They understood the rituals, the stories, and the intense desire for the divine. Their cloisters, supposedly sanctuaries of piety, became clandestine workshops. While most monks were devout, the immense pressure to attract wealth, increase their monastery standing, or even genuinely enhance the faith of their flock could lead even the most pious down a path of pious deception. The methods of forgery were surprisingly ingenious. Animal bones, meticulously carved and aged, often stood in for saintly remains. A sheep's femur could become the leg bone of a martyr, a pig's jaw, a saint's jawbone. Common objects like rusty nails or fragments of wood were transformed into instruments of Christ's passion or pieces of the true cross through clever storytelling and discovery narratives. Monks would also employ complex translation ceremonies, moving a supposedly discovered relic from a forgotten grave to a place of honor, thereby imbuing it with legitimacy and mystery, sometimes even manufacturing entire backstories. Not all forgeries were driven by pure greed. Often, the motivations were complex, even pious. A monk might genuinely believe that a new relic would inspire greater devotion, revitalize a struggling parish, or protect a community from famine or plague. The end they rationalized justified the means. In a deeply competitive landscape, creating a relic could also be a matter of institutional survival, allowing a monastery to compete with wealthier rivals. For them, it wasn't a lie, but a pious fraud, a necessary embellishment to strengthen faith and secure the future of their sacred calling. Remarkably, even fabricated relics often worked. The immense power of suggestion, collective belief, and the placebo effect meant that many people genuinely experienced miraculous healings or found solace through these objects. A sick pilgrim, believing utterly in the power of a relic, might recover simply through the strength of their own faith and hope. This feedback loop further reinforced the authenticity of the relics, regardless of their true origin. The miracle wasn't in the object itself, but in the unwavering conviction of those who revered it, making the forgery a powerful tool for maintaining faith. Despite the widespread acceptance, skepticism was not entirely absent. Voices of doubt occasionally emerged, and some forgeries were indeed exposed. Popes and bishops sometimes ordered investigations, though these were often politically motivated or aimed at rival institutions. If a forgery was discovered, the consequences could be severe: public humiliation, loss of ecclesiastical office, or even excommunication. Yet, often, even when confronted with evidence, communities might cling to their beloved relics, choosing faith over forensic truth, illustrating the deep entanglement of belief and identity in the medieval world. The medieval era of relic forgery is a testament to the enduring power of human belief and ingenuity. These pious frauds, born of faith, ambition, and desperation, profoundly shaped the religious, cultural, and even artistic landscape of Europe. Many of the ornate reliquaries we admire today in museums once housed bones and fragments of questionable origin, yet they inspired centuries of devotion and pilgrimage. The story of relic forgery isn't just about deception. It's a complex narrative that highlights the blurred lines between genuine piety and worldly ambition, revealing a fascinating chapter in the history of faith. The saga of medieval relic forgery offers a compelling glimpse into the human condition. Our deep-seated need for tangible connection to the divine, the immense power of belief, and the lengths to which people will go, for both noble and ignoble reasons. It reminds us that history is rarely black and white, and even within the most sacred institutions, human complexities thrive. These pious frauds may have been deceptions, but they were also, in their own way, cultural catalysts, shaping the very fabric of faith, art, and society for centuries, their stories echoing even in our modern, skeptical world.